Hello, guys. Welcome. I am Colin, Project Constitution. With me tonight is my guest host again, Steve Ben-Nun, Israeli News Live on YouTube. He's also on X at Steven Ben-Nun, I think.
Steven Ben-Nun. Steven Ben-Nun. You're right. On X, I go by my pen name on there. So yes,
Yep.
Israeli News Live at Steven Ben-Nun.
So if you have followed me for a while, you know that I have been investigating the Charlie Kirk case since day one. I have gone down every rabbit hole that there is as far as possible shooters, where they could be, even initially accepting the FBI's narrative until more came out that we found that that was not the case. The first scenario that we were really sure and landed on was the shot came from the Charlie's right hand side behind him. And that's about the time where I met Steve and talked to him, and we started, bouncing ideas back and forth and working together. And we still are kind of in that area somewhere, but are not 100%. And then we met Ty. He goes by We Are Not Going to Mars on YouTube, and We Are Not GTM on X. Him and I and Steve here, actually Ty came up, he took our work that we put together and he came up with this BA building sniper, and even found a guy running from the roof, which is very, that definitely is suspicious and something we still want to look into. But after a little bit more evidence and a little more fine tuning, Steve and I have come to another conclusion where there is this suspicious van that was behind the tent. Obviously, anybody who's seen the video, the hatch or the trunk of the van opens 4 seconds prior to the shot and then closes again right after the shot. And we were able to, and from day one, we've always known Frank Turk's phone was the key. Steve, I believe, is the one that figured out that there was a laser, an infrared laser, that got captured on Frank Turk's phone. And Steve was able to track that laser back to the point of origin from where that laser came from. And it turns out it was from where that van was. So that is kind of where we are now. We were going back and forth. We found the guy that had the laser. We believed he might be in the van. Then we believed he might be outside of the van. And now we found some more evidence that makes us even question that. So there's the van is still the key, but I'll let Steve get into it. Steve is a little bit better at explaining things to me. So,
well, maybe not better because hey, you get 1 million views at a time most of the time, Colin. So you're doing something right. And when I read the posts that you put in with your videos and stuff that you put out there, your verbiage, your ability to be able to analyze things is very commendable. I know that when we saw that laser, this is what caused Ty Norman with We're Not Going to Mars on his channel there. He, like you said, he discovered also a guy running as well on top of that roof. So even though we're trying to follow the evidence where things go, we don't rule out that being still a possibility, because now it looks like that the laser pointer on the ground could have been what we call a designated spotter. And that's an individual that takes a laser, an infrared laser, puts it on the subject, especially when it's a crowded area, and then a weapon of some sort, whether it be a drone, whether it be someone using a rifle that has got an infrared detector on it, There's all kinds of things. You've brought out some amazing things lately on that. And so we just don't want to eliminate any of the possibilities and sharing that with people. So, I think that this type of information, as you said too, we talked about the laser possibly coming from the van. There's still one image of light I seen from the back of the van early on when I did an arrow pointing from what I looked like a light all the way to Charlie's neck, which would have been the trajectory if indeed he was hit in the lower part of his neck and not up on the side of his head. And I still don't rule out that possibility that he was hitting the side of the head at a higher area, much like whether it be Ty Norman or if it be when you interviewed the gentleman from Australia. I forget his name. What was his name, Colin?
Gideon.
Gideon, yes. So Gideon also, from his trajectories and even the sound signatures that he has done, he's done an amazing work on that, from it coming from that direction as well. I did want to talk to Gideon, and I'm hoping when Gideon sees this video, this is something I would like to try to understand better, because when I heard him in the interview you did with Gideon, he explained that sound signature coming from that direction. And so my thought was, would it rule out the possibility of it coming from the van? We do know it comes from the right, because when I did the sound signature on 3 phones, I actually analyzed the exact spot from when Charlie, when his body moves and when the gunshot is heard in the phone. And you do get 2 different sounds that go off. But on the right of Charlie, so you're facing him, it's to your left, but it's Charlie's right, those 2 sound signatures are extremely close together, as well as his body movement. All right. That's also the one that it was with Jason with crowdsource. I don't forget how his name.
Crowdsource the truth.
Yeah,
Jason Goodman.
Yeah, Jason Goodman sent us the video footage in the high resolution of 60 feet per second. Very good high definition 1080p on there. And that one helped solve a lot of issues. We got rid of the part about the earpiece, things like that. Because we could see such clarity in there. But at the same time, we get to go to the front side. And by the way, that's the video too, because there were 2 brothers. I didn't know this either at the time. I was looking at that video and I saw that it was different. The laser was pointing in a direction that I had not seen before. And then according to Jason, he said that there were brothers there. And I think you told me that, Colin. He said there were brothers, and they both were recording the exact same frames per second, 60 foot per second. And they both caught the infrared lasers in their phone. But one, it seemed like the light reflected back towards them, and the other one seemed to reflect towards the crowd. Now, I'm going to tell you something that's really weird. It's just now coming to my mind right now. It could be that both phones picked up 2 different lasers, because the way a designator spotter works is that the laser that the spotter is doing is identifying the target close up, and the weapon that is using a laser from another point of origin there picks up that signal with its own laser, and that's what tracks it in to be able to hit its target. It could be, though, too, the angle of reflection, because I couldn't pinpoint a source for it. I just knew the direction it seemed to come in. Whereas the other brother, it took us right to the source. The guy standing there, he's got something up like this. Right before the shot, his hand's down here. He's got a phone in this hand to his ear. And just before the shot, this hand slowly comes up, the light goes on. That's when Frank's phone picks it up. And as soon as Charlie is shot, a few seconds or maybe 2 seconds or whatever, he comes back down, the light goes off. And But going back around, I want to just bring this full thought around. The camera person in front of Charlie, and there's a couple of them. The only difference is the further back, the longer it takes for the sound to travel to the camera, and you see Charlie's clothes move, and it's measuring in nanoseconds. And so it's a few, like 2 nanoseconds, and then you get the sound of the bullet that went off. But when you get to the far side, to Charlie's far left, and according to the sound signature, it's 36 feet away from Charlie, that person that I was using their phone on. The 2 bullet sound signatures are notably further apart. The one on the Charlie's right is 1 nanosecond apart, and on the other side is 2.5 nanoseconds apart. What that tells you, if you put this into a program that can analyze sound, it will tell you that to the right is the closest to the shooter. And that's why you hear the difference in the sounds there. But I literally took, and I could probably actually show you where I measure these at, but it's actually done like that. So anyway, let me just pause here for a moment so you can jump in here, Colin, and I'll catch my breath like old people do.
All right. And then we also, like I said, we're not ruling out that the shot came from the corner of the BA building, or possibly from, we think possibly a drone up that way. But I found another video last week that I showed on the channel here we found 3 shots. We got frames of 3 different shots coming from the area of the van. And you can see we got 3 in a row, enough to get a trajectory of the angle of where the shot came from. And the one is right up at Charlie's neck. The other is in front of the cameraman, the one with the big camera that turns around towards the back as soon as the shot hits. And then there's another cameraman a little farther behind him, and you see the other shot right by his right between his elbow and his arm. So I caught that, and because I see that, the trajectory looks lower than what it would need to be up at the, from up at the roof angle.
Can you share that though, Colin, where people can see that? Because somebody made a comment on there, and I did do an analysis on this because of the comment they made. And I'd like to just clarify something in that.
Yeah, sure. Let me show it. Just give me a second here to pull it up.
Take your time.
3 shots. Yeah, there it is. Let me pause the sound. We don't need the sound. I don't know if I can pause just the sound. Okay, I can pause just the sound. Okay. So let me can I do this? Okay, yeah. So let me get to a spot where you can see. Okay, so this is the let me pause there for a second, because this is kind of where we're looking at here. As you can see, this is the zoomed out shot we're looking at. You got Charlie right over here. You got Mr. Arm Signal guy there. You got Frank and his phone. You got the one cameraman right there, and you got the other cameraman right behind him with the elbow there. And then what I show you next is kind of zoomed in shots of each of where you can see the projectile or whatever.
Exactly.
Do you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, let me throw in here. And behind the cameraman, the second one, you've got right here in your screen next to the cameraman that Colin is talking about to start with. Then Frank's got what appears to be a darker shirt on, and then the other guy there with that other camera, it's behind him. That guy right there behind him is where it seems to be a designated spotter. And even if he is a designated spotter, they could, if let's say the bullet does come from the van, let's say if this is in fact a bullet, and it very well could be. I know that someone had made a comment, well, a bullet travels at, I already know what a bullet travels at. A handgun bullet, for example, would travel at about 1,150 feet a second. A hypersonic bullet like the Israelis use travels at 1,350 feet a second, etc. So they do travel like that. What I did notice, though, when Colin was showing this, if you look at that first frame, the one before that one, Colin, the one that's not circled in yellow behind that camera guy, you've got...
Oh, my thing's going crazy on me. Give me a second.
Take your time. Take your time. I know how it works there because I've learned how that works, and it drives you nuts. So, and there's something I'm going to try to do when you back out, because what I want to do is I'm going to try to mark these images real quick before you even move it. We can stay zoomed in the same, but look at them differently is what I'd like to do. I
might have to step out of the studio for a second.
Okay, that's fine. And then, you know what? I tell you what, if you want, I can pull it up on my end while you step out. Would that be all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's do that. You go ahead and jump out because I know you got something to take care of there. I'm going to really quick pull up your, because I know you sent that to me. I've seen it in here somewhere.
What is going on here?
Oh, actually, you know what I'm going to do while you're gone? I'll show the... Oh, here it is. I got it. I do have it, so I can show it. All right, that'll be perfect. So, all right, let's see here. Did you hit stop share on there, Colin? Okay, Colin jumped out for a second. Let me quickly share with you. I'm going to share with you what Colin is looking at here. Okay, this is on his Twitter account, Project Constitution. By the way, this is what I'm talking about. Colin is just, I like the way he puts in. He doesn't do it a lot of wording, but he puts in very nice wording describing what he's wanting you to focus in on the video. Okay? So let's do something here. I'm going to do something that you guys are not able to see on your side, but I can see it on my side. I'm going to take and literally mark each one of these bullets because I'm going to back out when I do it. We say bullets. Could it be a bug? Yes, it could be. But when I did an analysis on this based on the feet per second, my question was based on the theory that someone said it'd be a 50-foot long streak. The answer to that was no. If there was a bright enough day, even though this camera films at, let's say, either 30 or 60 feet per second, that would determine how long of a streak you would see. It would be a blurred streak, and they said roughly the size of what would look like a tic-tac on your screen. Well, that's exactly what Colin and one other person had discovered in here. I'm going to go slowly here. That's the first one there.
Exactly.
Right. And then if you go down, then we get the second one right here. Now, Colin, what people don't see, I'm intentionally flagging each one of these spaces here so that when I have it at the right spot there, I'm going to then take and do a visual and a line drawn to Charlie because I think I can actually do this properly. But as you go further, of course, he does zoom in, but I'll do it where it's zoomed out.
And this is slowed way, way, way down too, by the way. Okay,
yes.
So everybody knows this is like 10x all the way down, or 0.2, like this, as slow as it goes is how I got it zoomed in, even to be able to capture this.
All right, let me back up because right where Charlie's at, I need to see where that was on the sign behind him. Okay, I see where it's at then. All right, now I'm going to break back, let it go into forward there. All right, it's actually right there. So let me put the marker there. I'm fixing to do something that I think you guys are going to find interesting. So let me just quickly put this in the frame, and then let's try to do something a little magical with this. And we're just going to get an idea of what this thing actually did. So... Oh, wait a minute. Now I got to move my picture just right.
Thank you very much, DA Actor T. Yeah, we've been working on this since the beginning. Yeah, I know Steve has as well. I have. So I mean, a lot of like the analysis that this is all stuff the FBI really should be doing. You know, we're doing the work that they should be doing.
Okay. Now, I'm going to share this with you guys. Now, I cannot see Charlie in this. Let me see if I go forward with the video if I can. Let me just quickly save it so I can show this to you. And we're doing analysis that I didn't even think we would do right here in the middle of the video. So my apology for that. But I'm hoping this will be worth your while to be able to see this here in just a second. So let me make sure I save that to the desktop so I can pull it up. Okay. And we'll give it that name there. All right. So now, let me real quick though, I want to pull that video forward. Do we ever get to see Charlie in this part of the video anywhere, or just, okay? Oh yeah, yes. Okay. Oh yeah, it's perfect. All right, there's two things that I need to show you guys on this, right? Now I'm going to stop sharing the screen. I want to show you what I just did.
And by the way, this bullet right here, or projectile, whatever it is, it seems to hit exactly where you seem to think, where you saw that mark that looked like.
We'll pull that up too. We're going to pull them both up. So what I'm going to do real quick, I wanted to show you this because this has been on my mind like crazy. I've been wanting to tell you about this. Let's see if I can find where I put this crazy thing at. Let's see. I know what I got to do. I've got to actually pull it up. Let me figure out where I put it on my desktop. Go ahead and talk for a minute and I'll find this real quick.
Another thing that we discovered is the laser, because we found another video where you can actually see there's a light on inside the van as well, which we're going to show you a little bit later.
Yep, I got it now. There we go.
And Steve was able to do an analysis on that as well, which kind of goes back to our theory even more. So we'll get into that in just a little bit.
That analysis will rock your world away. It's crazy. Oh, yeah. It is absolutely crazy. All right, let's see. Entire screen. Well, maybe if how do I get that thing to jump up there? Hang on, there we go. I got to put it up like that and jump in. There we go. Got it now. Okay. And share. Now, let's see if I can pull it back up on the screen the way I had it. And then, all right. Does it show the film on there now? Or,
it's the line that you had. Yeah, you got the line there. Yep.
Okay. What I did, I took when I could see, I already knew about where that bullet was when it got over here close to Charlie. It literally, it's on a letter, but it's literally floating right there between the letter here and the letter there. And then the other one's just coming out right here and the other one's there. The three different images follow a line of trajectory. That's really the point I wanted to be able to share with you guys. There is a line of trajectory, so it's not like you got a bug way up here and a bug way down here or something, and could it be a bug? Yes. I mean, theoretically, anything's possible, but the consistency of each visualization as it moves is what's interesting. And according to the analysis that I ran on this, theoretically, as long as there's a bright light day, yes, it could be a bullet, and it would appear on the screen as a blurred, like the size of a Tic Tac was the way that the analysis came back on. So I'm going to stop sharing that. And if you want to go to that van, I will go ahead and get some of the, I got to review the analysis on that while you talk about that.
All right. Let me pull that up real quick. Give me a second. This video was just shared with me today, and this is a video of the van that we have here. Let me mute that. And if you see right there, there is a double, looks like a two little lights in the window there. And I'll just let this play for a second here. And it's just as the tailgate is closing, you can see. So I believe this is right after the shot happened. And then there's obviously our picture, a little blurry picture, but that is a picture of our spotter, the guy that we believe is the spotter.
Yes.
And then there we have another.
Keep in mind, let me just throw this in here because I always want people to realize this. I dealt with the CIA for 7 years. I know exactly how, working with an assassin during this time there, I know how they stage things. Most of the time, even though people may be directly involved, for the sake that no one figures out what happens, people play roles that they have no idea why they played it. All right. In the case of this guy right here, I honestly do not think he ever knew. Even if he was using a laser, he could be using a laser. They could have told him, you know, Israelis got some awesome drone technology. It'll help the camera to pinpoint Charlie. And we want to really get some great footage from this event here to share on our website, whatever they're doing. That's how they get you to accept what you're doing with ease and not to be nervous. I know this. I know this firsthand. I know of a plane that was taken down with a corporate person in that plane one time. And the whole thing is they didn't want me to be nervous, but I had to break their security. Major corporation, break their security, go in there, figure out how to get to that guy's office. All it was for is so that when the assassin went in there and planted the device, he needed to know how to break the security. They didn't need me to be a nervous wreck. So I'm never told about that. I'm just told, break the security, report back. I was trained to do this type of stuff and to get in places where nobody could ever get into, you know, and then I did. And I was able to say, this is how you do it. This is the steps that you got to take. This is how you'll overcome every obstacle. I was kept in the dark until after it was all done. And that's the way they do things.
While we're at it, let me go ahead and show you a better picture of this guy because we still have not been able to identify him. I know he works for Turning Point, but I do not have a name yet, and I really need a name. We need to find this guy's name because I would like to ask him some questions and find out.
Just cut to the chase on this. Hey, Colin, that looks like you and me.
Yeah. I got the picture in here somewhere in the end.
Oh, gosh. You know what? We got to go back to that phone earlier, too. It's a different phone. But there's some things I got on my mind, too, Colin, now that are driving me nuts.
Yeah, I'm going to keep this up. That's why I pulled this up for us tonight. This got pretty much everything we talked about in the last episode here on it.
Excellent.
All right, so where's it at?
And those two lights that Colin discovered in this van, as I was running all the different simulations on this, I literally had to go to my own vehicle with tinted windows, and my daughter helped. Yep. And we actually did, we did lasers. I used the phone flashlight, right? I'll show you like that, right? Well, wait a minute. I did like that, right? Inside the vehicle. And I did, because I was told in the analysis, it's very common for a laser to have a double light in a window because what it is the panes of the window or layered. Go ahead, Colin.
No, my cat's just being bad. That's all.
Oh, okay. So the thing is that I also took. I have one of my handguns has a built-in laser. It's a red laser, and again, when I shined it from inside and we were able to photograph it, again, it appears as double dots on the window. But the difference is, when it's a laser, it tends to be tighter in the circle than what it is the other way around.
Nope, that's not the right one.
So what I could not get a probability on that. I know that the laser that was reflected in Frank Turnick's phone that was captured from the brother. I would assume it would have been the guy that would have been standing on the left and not the guy on the right, because it picks up people and it picks up the van. Yeah, there you go. There's actually even a better, even quality. I've actually got a real high resolution of, there you go. That frame there. There's that, by the way, those two double dots, when I put it in the analysis to be able to break all this down, it's literally in 3 frames only. And these are in nanoseconds. They're not in, it's not like a second you see this. This is literally 3 nanoseconds that's only there. All right. The fine
because this phone is like it films in like 60 frames a second. So if you're only getting 3 frames of it, that's 3/60ths of a second. That's how little is showing up.
Exactly. So, and I know it's actually frame 14, 15, 16, and 17. It's 4 frames that it actually appears in there, and then we're gone with it. The tightness of it from the analysis I was able to find out, and you will look at that and you would swear up and down it's only a white dot all day long. It actually is green and white. You have to do spectrum analysis, and that's what I worked on with spectrum analysis, because there's 3 light frequencies to determine if it's infrared, near infrared, etc. I do know that those lights right there at the 650 nanometers of light is what they are at. And thank you, Colin, because if you hadn't got a better resolution, I couldn't have even gotten that information for sure. That is not, though, infrared light spectrum. Infrared light spectrum, you have to get a little bit closer to the 800 range there, but you can take an infrared and dial it down, but it becomes visible a little bit to the naked eye, but not super visible. So the thing is, if it is indeed infrared, then it would be only captured because a phone lens captured it. It wouldn't be picked up with the naked eye. And secondly, because of the windows, when you make a window in a vehicle, you've got a filming, you've got another, you got the window, and I think there's 3 layers to the way the window is made. That's why it appears as a double dot on there. And the same with Frank's phone, which one other thing I'll quickly mention and then take a breather here. And that is, when you look at Frank's phone, Frank said that he was actually FaceTiming his family, or whoever he's FaceTiming. He is FaceTiming someone. I know it appears like you think he's not, but he actually is. When you break down every single frame on that guy's phone when this is happening, at one point I get in one frame where, you know how like when you do a FaceTime, you're down there you're in that very let me pull this up for you. You'd be in the very bottom corner of the phone, right? That's where you're at. Your face is. I see Frank's face in one frame, or a couple of different times, a couple of frames. His face is in that little box. So I know he is FaceTiming. Sometimes, because one lady thought a drone flew in and was flying in and could see everything on the desk of Charlie. No, that's what happens is, you didn't get that reflection. Now watch my phone as I turn around. See the reflection on my phone right there? Now that reflection is things that are in behind us there, okay? That's actually one of the things, and I know it just from looking at it. That's my lamp over here to the left of me. But yet if you'll notice, you can see like a tree in the background too. You think, oh, what is he doing? Looking outside? No, that's the picture on my phone. But if I was FaceTiming, depending on the reflection, you can see the iron. I didn't know I had an iron. Oh, I do have an iron in here. So, But now, because of me working with the CIA, I was taught to analyze imagery. And I'll sit there. This is a bad habit of mine, Colin. I'll sit there and I'll be watching videos, right? And somebody like me will have their glasses on. I'll examine everything in that room. When we lived in Europe, we were looking to buy a house. This was about 9 years ago. We ended up buying one, but there's this one house that was listed for sale, and I liked it. It was kind of like out in the nowhere, and I was looking for a place. You can't really buy a house in the country. It's almost non-existent. They don't sell land like they do here. And I saw it, but they didn't have any listing of where the property is. And I'm looking at the photos, and one's up high, like more like a satellite imagery and everything. And I told my wife, I said, give me about 30 minutes and we'll go see the house. She said, how are we going to go see it? The guy's not returning the call. I said, don't worry, we'll go see the house. I get in there, I got to work on it and everything. And I come back a few minutes later. I said, okay, this is the address to the house. She said, how'd you figure that out? I said, I read imagery. I said, that's a satellite photo. And even though it's in another city, I was able to figure out on the satellite where that house is sitting based on the fact that he's beside a field. There's a power line runs through there. And I was able to look at the other imagery of the house roofs and things like that. And I was able to figure out where the man lived. When we showed up, Colin, the guy freaked out. So that's why I say when I looked at these things in the phone, I really examined very closely. And I can tell it's not easy. You have to kind of work with it. What was he filming that picked up? Which sometimes it did pick up it didn't pick up Charlie himself, but it was picking up like the people on the other side of his desk. It picked up some of his desks, the speakers and stuff. And then it would catch a reflection. It would catch things in the background, just like what mine did. And just depending on the brightness and stuff. And then if you focus your eyes on the reflection on the screen, because I have a screen cover, then you're able to tell what's in there. There you go. You're on mute, Colin.
Exactly.
So, and this guy's brilliant, and he's tireless warrior to try to put the pieces to this together. I know there's a lot of people around the country that are doing that, and I appreciate all you guys that are doing it, but it's a real honor to work with Colin because I see his dedication and wanting to get to the bottom of this by far. So, Colin, you got the smoking gun video that you put out, and I cannot wait for you to go to that.
And that just the one that we just showed?
No, I'm talking about
the gun one.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
Mike Adams with Health Ranger. That's how most people know Mike Adams is Health Ranger. He owns Brighteon. I know Mike, and I saw Mike had posted your video up that your ex part that you did on this, and so I have Mike's private number, so I reached out to Mike and told him, I said, that's Colin with Project Constitution that posted that. He said that was brilliant what he discovered. And so he shared your information out there, and I think he's going to share this interview because he told me, he said, will you send me the interview after you? Because I told him we're doing an interview tonight. He said, would you send that so that we can get this information out to more people? So tell us about it.
I certainly appreciate that. So this weapon here is, I forget the name of it actually. The Colt, let me pull up my post. Let me pull up my exact post. So I don't want to get it wrong. I'm going to say the right thing here.
Colt, oh gosh, because I saw it too where you had that on there. Now I'm reading through your article real quick.
Okay, not the AR one. That's the drone. Okay, here it is. Actually, I'll just pull up my post. Let me do that real quick.
Okay.
That way people can read. I'll just read my post. Share screen.
Yeah, I think it'd be great to read the post because you put very good information in here.
There we
Cold
go.
Sword, that's it. Cold Sword system.
Is that it? Yep, that's it.
It's in the second
Okay.
paragraph.
Yep. Anyway, so right here, this is a 2014 demo, and this is a where's that? Oh yeah, Colt. This is the Colt Sword system, which is a networked sniper spotter system, which can be adapted to pretty much any kind of gun that you want. And what it does is it lets you the spotter there's a spotter which can, I'll just read it. It says spotter lasers a target with the infrared beam, and then the data beams to battle management software. It actually sends it, so the spotter uses the laser and it sends it to the software, which is a tech platform where they can actually say, this person is friendly, this person is, like, if you got a crowd of people, like 3 or 4 people together, you can actually pinpoint and say, this person's friendly, this person's the enemy, and it will know exactly who to target. And
Yes.
it could be remote fired as well. I mean, it's amazing, this system right here, and not only can it be remote fired. Yeah, exactly, and it's from 2014, so this is years and years old. And as Steve pointed out when I talked to him, when we see stuff in the public, the stuff that they actually have that's classified is light years ahead of what's out in the public. So if they have this now, and back in 2014 they had this, I can only imagine what they have now, both since then, and as well as what's still classified. And there's another video that we're going to show you a little later where Benjamin Netanyahu talks about how Israel is the leading country when it comes to weapon systems, whether it be defensive or offensive weapons.
Yeah, that's crazy when he says that to Ben Shapiro. It's almost like a subliminal message when he says that to Ben Shapiro is interviewing Netanyahu, and he makes that statement about, and offensively, yes, we have technology that no other nation has, right? But going to what you found here, Colin, this was just amazing. This Colt Sword, and what it, like you said, when you talk about that designated spotter, that's the guy on the ground, like what we saw back behind Charlie. He identifies the target that you want to pick up. And this system here is designed kind of like the way a drone can do the exact same thing.
It can work with drones too, by the way. That's one of the demos that they show in it. It can work with drones as well.
Yeah, because the gun can become the spotter in this case. You don't actually have to have a separate spotter. Or you can have a spotter. The spotter identifies the target because he's close to the target. And then this gun here, what it does, its laser locks on. Lasers work in wavelengths. In that it can lock on, there'll be a specific wavelength in which that gun and the spotter laser guy is using. And it locks on that wavelength, and that's what gives it the ability to hit the target with precision. And I think on our last broadcast, we were showing the smart bullet. Now that was, again, that was from 2015. And I think I actually pulled the patents up on that because it was designed by an actual individual guy. And in his patent that he did, he applied for that in 1997. The smart bullet, and that bullet being on a 50 caliber has fins. It's also a spotter is what helps direct it to its target, but it can hit a moving target that changes positions, a mile away and still hit them. So the Russians, though, they also developed their own smart bullet, and their bullet, they were able to get it into a smaller bullet than what the United States did through DARPA. But one person I'm curious about is Sergei Abramov, He's a Russian guy, but he is Jewish. And the company that he works for and his Israeli ties, he's also worked on the smart bullets. And they have been working to get these bullets down to smaller calibers. I think without them making it really known, they have hinted around that they have gotten down as small as a 223. So think about that. It's crazy what we could be dealing with here.
And these smart bullets, by the way, like we showed on the last episode, they're like self-guided missiles, but for a bullet. Like they can curve around objects, they can curve down. Very, very, very crazy tech. But that's something where you don't even have to be pointed directly at the target to be able to hit it. You don't have to have line of sight exactly for it.
Let me, Colin, if I can, I want to show you guys something as well. Let me find it on here real quick. My screen.
Do you want me to show some of this video here of this gun?
Yes, go right ahead, because I'm going to show you one the Israelis have developed as well.
Okay. So this is the Colt sword here. I'll let you guys take a little look-see for a couple minutes here at it. Let me turn the
Colt sword system, which is a really interesting, fascinating system. So take us through it.
Right there, this is a technology demonstrator. What we're looking at here is a bunch of components bolted together to prove the concept so that we can show it to the end users and figure out what their final system is going to look like. This weapon system consists of a power and data rail that's networked. We've got a number of sensors contained in the boxes right here. There's a camera that bolts onto the scope. It's still a standard scope, so we still get a reticle.
Swing around you here. Okay.
The weapon's powered. We've got a battery on board, and we've got another 36 hours of battery.
Now, let me just stop for a second and say one thing as well. Now, the lights that we see inside the van, they may not actually be a spotter. They may actually be the weapon itself. Because if you notice, like this weapon right here, it has lights all over. It's a powered weapon. It's powered with batteries. It's not powered through normal ammunitions. There's a phone on it as well, which gives off light. There's a scope, which gives off light. So, I mean, it could very well be the actual weapon. We could have had the weapon set up in the van on a remote fire trigger, and the spotter guy standing outside the van spotting, and either him or somebody else, I don't think it was him because I really don't think he knew what was going on, but somebody could have triggered that and fired it remotely while it was inside the van.
Yes, 100%. I agree. So let's go ahead and listen. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Through a sling. It's all wired right now because we're working it through a commercial Wi-Fi network just to prove the concept.
You gotta be a member of the press.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
The essence of this particular setup is to demonstrate the system using a sniper spotter scenario. So there's a spotter system that has the same camera, Vectronics laser rangefinder with GPS setup. When the spotter spots a target, he'll indicate the target with a laser rangefinder. Because he knows where that is, knows the range and bearing of the target will appear on the battle management software up there. And you can see a number of standard battle management map icons. That's essentially military range card. We've got map data, we've got map symbols bolted onto it in layers like Photoshop. We've got friendly layer, we've got map layer, we've got enemy force layer, all kinds of other stuff added on into there. And that target shows up on there. You see the target number 2's circle around it?
Yeah.
That target's been indicated and assigned by the spotter to the shooter. So I'll take you through and show you what
Did he have to lace the target, or are they just going through the guy's camera?
He can lace the target. We can take target input from the target acquisition system, from the spotter unit, or from any other target acquisition format that's out there. All we need is a grid. I can actually use.
So you don't have to lace the target.
He lets you know there could be a spotter. The drone could be a spotter. That's what's interesting about this weapon. There's so many different ways that it can be configured.
Exactly.
I know that there's a guy right here. I can indicate that on the map and have them engage a target by grid reference.
Right, but
this
let's
isn't
say
just for sniper systems.
Right.
It'll work on anything, including area denial systems.
all right, but let's say you have a shooter, or, sniper, whatever. He doesn't necessarily have to laser the target. He can just sight up the target and be running his camera on the target, right?
Yeah, well, we can do any conventional sniper task with this. He can just shoot people all he wants with that gun there.
Right.
What we do with the spotter system, the spotter locates the target and wants to indicate it, or even a point of interest. He wants to direct everybody's attention to a barn that's right here. He can laze the barn, because that's how we're going to find out the range and bearing to the target.
Right.
We get range and bearing from the spotter system.
Okay, so, but I was just saying, let's say the shooter himself acquires a target that he can't handle himself, okay? Does he have to laser the target himself, or can he just the camera identify that target and place it on the map so that
the camera won't do that on its own.
Okay.
We know where it's pointed, so he could estimate the range and we'll get a line on there, but this will have a laser rangefinder on it as well.
Oh,
so you can
okay,
use
so
the
he
weapon
can
to
laser
indicate
right,
target.
yeah.
Right? But I'll show you what.
And another thing about this is it actually is smart enough that it can tell your velocity of that round. It could tell, it's sensitive enough that it could tell whether the temperature, whether the barrel is too hot or too cold, whether that is going to affect your range. Yep. I mean, there's just, this weapon is like state of the art. And this is back in 2014.
Crazy. It's crazy.
The target handoff looks like first. We get the battle management software. What we don't have Land of Make-Believe to get is you've got the spotter system with the spotting scope, the camera in it, with the laser rangefinder, the GPS setup. When he indicates that target, I'll tap on here, and I'm going to actually get rid of this target and show you what it looks like. So we have a bunch of targets we've indicated. One of these targets is hostile, and we say we pick target number 3. Hold the touchscreen. We assign the target. There's the weapon systems we have available to us right there. I assign that to this sniper team. The screen's not calibrated, and I'm not using the panel. Once it's assigned to him, now that target's assigned, and you can see the icons changed.
So now, say that is the tent where Charlie is. You got Charlie with the circle on him, and then you got the two people, Frank and the other guy, standing to the right of him. This can actually, by putting that, by spotting him with the laser, you could tell this weapon, hey, these two are friendly. This is the only one we want to hit.
Exactly. One thing that's interesting as well is, besides this weapon you found there, I was actually searching for more information just on that weapon there and couldn't find anything myself. Of course, I'm not the best researcher in the world when it comes to looking for things like that. But what was interesting is the Israeli remote weapon that they have made very similar to that, that they already they've employed in Israel. And they had an article on Euro News about that one there. You want to look at that real quick?
Yeah, I think we've showed all we need to show about this just to give people the idea. And if you want to watch this whole video, I think it's like 14 minutes long or something like that. If you want to watch the full video, it's on my X. So you can go find it there. If you go, I've actually categorized every video or post that I've made on the Charlie Kirk investigation. I've added them all to my highlights tab so you can easily find them without getting lost in a sea of other posts. So if you want to go in there, you can find this post very easily and go watch the video for yourself.
Yes. And let me just quickly, I'll show you guys. This one kind of caught my attention here. And it's mainly what they say about this on Euronews here. And I'm going to play just about a minute here, Colin. This is an Israeli artificial intelligence powered guns can track targets to enhance accuracy when firing tear gas, stun grenades, sponge tipped bullets, pretty much anything they want to shoot at them, right? Watch what they say about this thing.
Usually the terrorists will...
Wait a minute. I didn't share it onto the screen yet, did I? Or you did? Okay, great.
I did. You're good.
Thank you, Colin, because I never remember about that stuff there. So here we go.
Will be inside a civilian environment with many people that we do not want to hurt. We're enabling
It's
the
not
soldier
true.
to look through his fire control system to make sure that the target that he wants to hit is the legitimate target. Once he locks on the target, and the system will make sure that the round will be released when he presses the trigger only on the legitimate target, and none of the bystanders can be hit by the weapon.
That's just what they're showing there. But there it is there. That's the gun. And so this thing's is just controlled remotely. So, you know, they may have a smaller version of this too that they could put in there and use a spotter. There's all kinds of crazy things out there, Colin. I mean, it's just like, it's nuts. It's really nuts.
Absolutely. And Israel, I think we should show that video of Benjamin Netanyahu, or at least the shorter version that I cut of it. Let me go ahead and share that, because he tells you in his own words that they are the leader of these weapons, and it's almost like a warning. It really, you know, Steve and I both thought it was like a warning, like a message.
You know, Iron Dome, Israel developed it. Arrow missiles, they shoot these missiles from the sky way, way up in altitude, developed by Israel. The same thing with Trophy. That's a system to protect your tanks, okay? So if somebody shoots anti-tank weapons at them, saves the tanks. That's defensive weapons. What about offensive weapons? The most advanced offensive weapons on the planet. Things that none of the superpowers have, developed by Israel. So offensive weapons, defensive weapons, intel, and there's much more to come because we're developing very rapidly our arms and defensive industry and our intelligence services.
Intelligence included. That's another big part.
Yes. And that just seems to me, when I heard that, Colin, I could not help but think that this was nothing but, as you brought out, or excuse me, as it's been brought out already, it's a subliminal message. You know, we've got the offensive weapons. You know, we've got the technology. In other words, it's like he was letting you know. Because you have to remember, there's part of the doctrine that they have in these elite circles. They have to tell you what they did. Somehow or another, they have to tell you, or tell you what they're going to do. Normally, they tell it in advance. This one could be in hindsight. But what I wanted to do too, real quick, Colin, was where you have the bullet circled on the screen. That appears to be a bullet. If you can show that again, and then I want to show the entry-exit wound after you show that, to where maybe it would make sense for people. You know, this shot into his neck right there. There we go. That's it there. That one right there, right? So right there on the screen, you see it, okay? So if you have that, and then I'm going to share with you real quick this image here. Okay, and there we go. There.
Now look where that looks like it's going to hit. Look where that's lining up.
Yes, yes. So let's go to this next. Watch how it is, though. If you look at it, we can't tell how far forward it is.
Hold on. I got to pull mine down and put yours up. There you go.
Now you see, I put the gray line. I have the gray line on Charlie's neck. The reason I do that, that's going back there to the back of his jawbone, right down by the ear, okay? It appears
can you zoom that picture in?
Yeah, I sure can. Let me
make it a little easier for people to see it.
Yep, I sure can. Let me find that rascal there. Oop, wrong one. Sorry about that. Go back down. Okay.
There we
Okay.
go.
Now, notice right here, you see that dot right in there? You can see his chain in here too. And you also see the compression. Look at the bulging of the neck right here too. Does this show my mouse on there as well, Colin?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, you
Sure
got
does.
the bulging of the neck is pushing forward. Okay, underneath that red line above it, you have like bruising already starting to come through, but his neck is impressed in. And the other thing is, like when that bullet comes out right there, if you remember before you see the open wound, his shirt is covering that. And what that is when a bullet travels through that high velocity, it creates a vacuum chamber when it's going through his neck, it's expanding. That's from all that hypersonic traveling, because it's traveling, so it's traveling faster than the speed of sound, unless it's a low velocity, right? But either way, it still carries a vacuum, and as the bullet exits, because it's such a larger hole there, that creates a vacuum. And that's what I believe. If you'll notice when you look at Charlie's shirt, when it goes flat against his chest, puffs out right behind him on that left side only, that is where the air got trapped in that lightweight shirt. And I've done the spectrum analysis on this, and it clearly shows that that's what would cause that. So just for something to think about. And it's just crazy. It's crazy what's happened to this poor man. And
Absolutely, and it's crazy the amount of conspiracy that they have put into this in the planning. I mean, there's so many people involved in the planning and orchestration of this, as far as even like decoys and having other shooters to throw people off. I mean, it's wild just how, to the extent that they went to try to make it muddy the waters and not point it to them.
yes. And, I mean, 9 years ago, we were pro-Israel. Now, there's just no way. I mean, over the last 9 years, we have spent more time exposing what's going on, because they can't seem to live in peace with their neighbors. They've kept the Palestinians in a concentration camp for the last 75 years. And the reason I bring this up is because Charlie, like ourselves, was very pro-Israel. In fact, for him, he just started to wake up. I think October the 7th is what really made Charlie begin to question things. He saw a situation where there was a stand down for 6 to 8 hours, which to me, the Israelis allowed their people to be slaughtered and taken captive. I hold the Israeli government, Netanyahu, Ben-Gvir, Smotrich, I hold all these criminals there at the Knesset responsible for what happened on October the 7th. Hamas, yes, they helped do it as well, but they could have never done it without the complicity of the Israeli government to pull that off. So somebody in there. Now, Charlie began to question that as well. For me, it went back to the time of the Syrian war, when I saw the little children killed over in Syria, and the sarin gas was blamed on former president there of Syria, President Bashar al-Assad. And I saw in the Turkish media, Aaron Erdem, who was a parliament member, had already shown Hillary Clinton's involvement of smuggling sarin gas through Turkey, Erdogan being involved. He was I think the prime minister at the time, not the president. And then they captured the guys, put them in jail, and then Erdogan said, no, you release them. These were ISIS militants. They went into Syria and killed these kids and blamed it on Bashar al-Assad. Now, the weird thing is, I lived in Israel before this happened, when ISIS was really gaining notoriety. One night up north of Galilee there, I lived up on the northern end of that, a friend of mine, we were having dinner with him and his wife. He was a ranking officer in the IDF. And he said to me, he said, Steve, the weirdest thing has happened. I'm hearing about ISIS militants wearing tzitzit. That's the little 4 tassels you see hanging off of a Jewish guy's shirt there. I said, what? He said, yeah, tzitzit. They're wearing tzitzit. He said, ISIS militants. He said, we must be training ISIS or they wouldn't have that. Well, only to find out later, Baghdadi was an Israeli. So the point is Charlie began to wake up just like we were waking up. These were things that caused us to start waking up. The difference is, though, when we turned and went away from this, we only had about 350,000 subscribers. After we turned away and went anti-Zionist, we've barely grown at all over the last 9 years, whereas we used to grow 500-600 a week. We were growing so fast when we were pro-Israel. Charlie, his funding stopped. He went against the Iran war. But what was it? This guy controlled the young voters of America. Israel was not going to let him get away with it. And they did the same with us. They warned us. He kept saying he was fearful of his life. They warned us as well. They told us to sent their Israeli Mossads to a church we were speaking at in Lebanon, Tennessee, and told us if we didn't get back on track, it could really go bad, right? Well, it did. It cost my father-in-law's life. My wife nearly died, and we were told to shut up and get back on track. Charlie, just like we were, refused to get back on track. Give that man a few more years, and I think he would have got a lot more eye-opening than what he already had. So I just want to throw that in there, Colin.
And that's exactly why they stopped him. That's exactly why they killed him, because they knew that. And they knew that he has a lot of influence, and that organization has a lot of power and reach. And that would be a very, that would cause some major problems for them in the future. Yes. So they nipped it in the bud before it could become a bigger problem. And that just goes to show you it's all politics. They don't care about people. They don't care about lives. It's all for it's all to further their cause.
Colin, if they can get away for 2 years now, justifying and killing all these little children, their mothers, I'll even throw the men that are innocent in there that had nothing to do with Hamas. I mean, look, you have the former congressman, I forget his name, is an older gentleman there that spoke out before. He's a Texas Republican congressman. It'll come to me in a minute. But anyway, he's standing there and he stands before Congress and he says, look, we can't he said, Israel created Hamas. He said, now they're voted into power. He said, what do you think is going to happen later? He said, then they're going to want to kill them later because you brought in a terrorist organization. Netanyahu in 2017 stood before the Israeli Knesset, or maybe it was 2018, and demanded that the Knesset pass the support so Qatar could send them millions of dollars annually, cash money, so they would stay in power, because he didn't want the PLO getting into power. See, these are the things that started making sense to Charlie. He began to put the pieces together. I think he even says to J.D. Vance, or to President Trump one, we don't need to go to war with Iran. He said, what for?
Yep.
What for? These were, and then they said he's becoming an anti-Semite. And then his donors left him. Well, the same thing happened to us as well. We lost more than 50% of the support that people once stood for because we became anti-Israel, And I've thought many
bothers me.
Go ahead.
That's
brother.
what bothers me the most is they want to claim everybody is an anti-Semite. That's their catchphrase. Just like the left with calling everybody on the right Hitler or whatever. That is their catchphrase for anybody who does not fit their agenda. That is like I'm not anti-Israel. Like the people of Israel are great people. I have no problem with the people of Israel, but I do have a problem with Netanyahu's regime, and I especially have a problem with them interfering in our elections, in our politics, buying our politicians. That is what caused me to start to turn. And then once they just did this to Charlie Kirk, that was just the final straw for me. I was seeing the everything going on in Gaza with how they're starving them and killing the kids, and I couldn't sit by and watch that anymore. They lost all my support.
Exactly. Let me show you one thing here real quick. I think you'll like this, Colin. This is, I'm going to play a clip, and you're going to hear Victor Ostrowski. He is a former Mossad chief. Now, he's not, we had Amit is her name. She was a former Knesset member of the Israeli government. She came out one time, long time ago, and said, that if you go against Israel, she said, we just label you an anti-Semite. She says the easiest way for us to do it. And so I want to show you, this is, again, the guy's name on here is, oh gosh, I forget his name again, but you'll see it in a second. He is speaking to C-SPAN. He's a former Mossad chief, field operations. Listen to what he says about the word anti-Semite.
I was born in Canada, in Edmonton, Alberta. I grew up in Israel because my mother was born in Jerusalem. And my father was born in Canada, and he came to Israel to fight in 48. And I was born in 49. He really fought hard. But the thing is, I grew up in Israel. When I was in Israel, my children went to school in Israel. They were Israelis. One daughter was born in Canada. Just to give you a background on myself, I served in the Israeli army for 3 years. Then, after that, I left Israel for a while. I came back. I rejoined the Navy. I finished in the rank of lieutenant.
Let me move it forward for you.
Common history. Then it becomes a nation. As far as race, there's a problem with that. I'll tell you why. Because most of the non-Sephardic Jews are descendants of a nation called the Khazari, or the Khazarian. So there is no such thing as dual loyalty. This is a myth. People say, well, the Jewish community has a dual loyalty. That's wrong. Either you're loyal to your country or you're not. There is no duality in that.
That goes for America too.
Countries. Never will Israel agree to have an Israeli support the U.S. the way they expect people in the Jewish community to support Israel. There are more people in Israeli jails for supporting or helping U.S. intelligence than you have Israelis in American jails. Because anytime there was a guy that was sat 15 years in Israeli prison.
Let me fast forward.
I think my first book. The people from B'nai B'rith walked in and asked for him to resign.
Okay, here it is. Here it is.
None. No, I'm sorry. I think the guy in the Phoenix Gazette and the people from B'nai B'rith walked in and asked for him to resign. Yeah, because he's an anti-Semite. Now, I know what they do because I used to ask them to do it. I mean, when I was in the Mossad, and we had a guy that gave us problems in the U.S., and he was speaking out, and he was talking like Pete talked once and said, Israel is bombing Lebanon with cluster bombs. We say, hey, who's that guy? Pete Makaki, we used to call him.
That's Hebrew for cockroach.
Yeah, which is Pete the cockroach. Because he makes a lot of noise and you can't get rid of him. So what you do is you get in touch with a guy in the station in New York or in the station in Washington. You say, tell the guys at B'nai B'rith to label him. And of course the campaign starts, and before you know it, the guy's labeled. And he's an anti-Semite. Because that's what we say he is. And that's one stain you cannot wash. Now, it shames me as a Jew to tell you that. But that's the fact. And it's wrong. I was born.
God bless him for having the courage to say it. And not many Jewish people, Colin, will say it. But I wanted people to be able to hear that and see that for themselves because he's former Mossad. And there's more and more Jewish people that will tell you the truth. I mean, Candace Owens just interviewed Norman Finkelstein. I mean, if you don't know if that girl's got a sincere heart, you don't interview Norman Finkelstein and be a double agent. I guarantee you that. So anybody is stupid enough to think that about her needs to have their head shaked.
Exactly. And I wanted to point that out as well. Everybody should go watch her episode with Finkelstein. Should definitely go watch that. I mean, it's eye-opening, and it's a great episode. Everybody definitely should watch it. I'm trying to find the trailer. I would love to play that. She played the trailer. I would love to play the trailer for you guys. That way you can kind of get a look at it. If I can find it here real quick. Where's this trailer at? Oh, that was today's episode. It was okay, let me go back. Give me a second here. And Candace, by the way, everybody should be following her as well, because she is, as far as this Charlie Kirk investigation, she was his friend, and she has been going hard on Turning Point and going hard on getting to the truth and the bottom of it and what's really going on. She's put out a lot of really good information that we have all kind of worked off of, and it's really good. Everybody should follow her. She's doing really great work, and she's a warrior. She's getting attacked. She's getting attacked all over the place. I mean, everybody in the world is attacking her, and she doesn't deserve it,
Yeah, she doesn't. You're right. Because if anybody is making a strong stand, especially with the close connections that they had, and I actually found I found it for you.
You found it? Yeah, because I'm looking. I haven't.
All right.
You want to go ahead and play it? I just want to play the trailer.
That's what I got. I think it's the trailer. It's only a minute long. So let's see here.
Yep, that's it.
The leading UN official on Gaza describes it as, quote, a toxic dump. For the people of Israel, Gazans are vermin. They're garbage. They're human refuse.
You guys were the ones that insisted that we all have a perspective on October 7th. Then when we looked and we pierced that veil, we went, oh my goodness, how was I ever pro-Israel? And now you want us to shut up.
There's a problem here. A billionaire class of Jewish supremacists are now flagrantly using money as a blackmail weapon to silence not just criticism of Jews, but silence criticism of an ongoing genocide.
It's terrible. I mean, it is absolutely terrible.
The economy.
And, Norman, I've actually reached out to him before, trying to get him on an interview. My wife and I, Jana, we've interviewed a lot of well-known Jewish people that have come out and clearly exposed the crimes of Israel. By the way, I did not know that Victor had actually spoken against the the Khazarian, I call it the Khazarian Mafia is what I call it there, the Khazars, but actually the Ashkenazi Jewish group there. That was a surprise to me. I'm actually Sephardic Jewish through my father, and my mother, though, is Ashkenazi. Her family was from Europe. My father's family was from Northern Africa, in Morocco specifically. And but that was a shock. That clip there was longer than any one that I'd ever seen before. But really to detract from Charlie Kirk, the important thing is that people understand why this has cost Charlie his life there. He wouldn't have been able to say to his friends, they want to kill me. He would, as Candace said, she said he was telling her this early on, I'm not going to live long. What was this young man going through that he saw that his life was going to end soon? I can understand as he began to cross Israel that would happen. Because like I said, they'll warn you. They're going to warn you. And I didn't take it seriously. I should have. My mother died when she was 49 years old, and back at those days there, I worked with the CIA at the time, and the assassin that I was assigned to actually was given the contract to kill her. Or I should say, he took it so that she would not be killed, because they didn't know that it was my mother at the time. And that was over because she was dating a very well-known politician at the time, and it was causing a lot of ruckus. And they hired him. Not the government didn't do it, but the family did. So the thing is, Israel, though, and other places around the world will warn you that you need to shut up. And when you don't, you lose your life over it. And I've had several friends in the intelligence community that have been killed as a result of trying to warn people. And keep in mind, not everybody, they have that saying, once CIA, always CIA. I can actually understand that statement, because when I was in, I got to a point after about 6 years, I wished I wasn't there, and I really wanted out. And I was beginning to think it was going to be a hopeless case. The only thing that really helped me was they staged my partner's death, and that kind of left an open door for me to be able to walk away. And I couldn't be telling you the things that I do if it wasn't that we have I think it's a 30-year agreement that you cannot speak about these things for 30 years. For me, it's been over 35 years. And for the longest time, Colin, I would never speak these things online. I'd do it in a private meeting. When we would do private meetings around the country and stuff, I would share things there, but I would never speak about it publicly. So I've gotten a little braver, but that doesn't mean bravery is not always intelligent. Sometimes it can be very dangerous as a result.
Oh no, absolutely. I've seen that firsthand. They've been, as I've told you, they've been surveilling me since I've been covering this Charlie Kirk thing and putting the heat on Israel. So if you're speaking out, I'm sure they're doing you too.
Colin, I believe you're hitting a nerve. And the reason I say that, I went with our same information after we did our live, the one before last. Same information, and my power goes out while I'm live. Messed up everything. I ended up editing out 10 minutes. It was out for 10 minutes, and I was able to get back on again. But I finished it, then I edited it, and I had to reload it because I knew it would never work right. That could have just been a fluke. Then Penny with Awake Nation reached out to you to try to contact me, and you connected us together. I went on with them, and again the power went out. We're live, and suddenly power is just gone. This time, though, I was smart enough to grab my phone, switch over to my phone, and do it, but the power stayed out. I called the power company, and the lady says to me, no, you don't owe a bill until middle of November, and we actually have no scheduled outages. And she said, but you know what's even stranger? When I look at the computer and there's an outage, we already know it. We know your power would be out, and you're saying your power is out. She says, and it's not registering. She said, that's odd. We'll send somebody out. I didn't want to go into any details either. It's just they'll send somebody so they fixed it. So, that tells me because the only thing that I've contributed to is just a small bit of information in this. You've contributed far more than I have. And so to me, you're over the target, and that's making them nervous, because if nothing else, we're helping people to look in the right direction. And Israel does not like that. They're not very
absolutely not.
And I would say to Candace and to Tucker, I don't think that they would try to kill them right now because it's too risky after Charlie. But they will try to destroy them every other way they possibly can. And that's something they need to be, I would still say, be vigilant no matter what. And remember, they can get you medically. You could have some crazy routine thing scheduled, go in and never make it out again. Or you make it out and then you drop dead. There's cancer weapons, there's heart attack weapons, and those are things that I knew about when I was in. I can't even imagine what they have now.
Exactly. And that makes, that's one of the things I was thinking about after the fact when it came to when they tried to assassinate Trump in Butler. Yeah, I at first I thought that was an assassination, attempt. But now I've been thinking about it a little bit more, and I wonder if that wasn't a warning shot to Trump to say, hey, if you win, you better fall in line.
It could be, and sadly, I do believe that Trump is following the line they want him to follow. I noticed Ron Howard, the famous little boy that was what I grew up with. I mean, he's older than I am. I think Ron is 70 or 71 years old. And he was the Opie on the Andy Griffith show, and later becomes a director in life, starred several different films, Happy Days, things like that. And but he's the one that directed and brought J.D. Vance to light for Netflix. And the, was it Hillbilly something there, I forget, Elegy or something like that, made the guy, his name became a household name. He even stated publicly, and I was surprised that Ron Howard did it, but he said he was very disappointed in the direction that he's gone. And I know a lot of the MAGA people, they love Trump and stuff, but
I'm one of them. I was Trump all the way. And honestly, to a point, I still am. Like, there's a lot of things he's doing still good in the country, but when it comes to Israel and what he 100% will just roll over and do anything Netanyahu tells him. And it's gotten to the point where, it's so bad that Netanyahu has actually been caught bragging about that to other nations about, how they can make Trump dance and do whatever they want him to do.
Yes. I'm looking for something real quick here. I want to show you guys something here. A rail car that crashed. I want to show you what happens when you get out of line. This is what's really interesting. Let's see if I can do this here.
Well, while you're looking that up, I'll show you guys this real quick. This is just something that Ryan Mata, he's another guy on X here that's looking into the Charlie Kirk case with us, and he also has woken up and is anti-Zionist. But he just put out today, apparently what they are doing now is they are hacking our feeds and displaying pro-Zionist, pro-Israel content as if we are saying it when we're not. But when you click on the post, it will be something totally different, unrelated. So I could make a post about the weather being great and I hit post, but when it comes up in your algorithm, it'll show as, Israel's so great, blah, 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 blah. But if you click on it, then it'll show the actual post. And I'll just show that real quick, only because if you guys see this, I want you to, number one, know it's not me. I would not post anything that's pro-Israel. And secondly, I want you to screenshot it and send me the screenshots and let me know right away. But let me show you this just so you can know what's going on real quick. Ooh.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, for real, man.
So you guys want to see a whole nother fucking level of shady over here on X? The fact that Xrosist, he goes by @8Xrosist8 over on X. I'm going to leave links. You guys got to do me a favor and tweet down and follow this guy. When you see this fuckery that's going on X, it's going to blow your mind. So Evan Kilgore put out a pro-Israel tweet, right? Or at least you thought until you clicked on it. You got to see this. The video is going to blow your gosh damn mind. Check this out.
So there's some kind of glitch going on where it's going to have this pro-Israel bullshit on people's posts. And then when you click the post and you're like, oh, this guy doesn't normally support Israel. Then you click on the post and you see what he really says. But it's showing up as this bullshit on a lot of people's posts. And they're not saying this. It got to be some kind of hack. X is definitely being compromised.
So now I want to ask you the question, America. How long do you think it's going to be before you didn't even tweet something, you never said anything, and all of a sudden your account's getting canceled, you're getting deplatformed, and every news headline across the world is showing some alternate version of a tweet that you've never said and was never on your timeline, but somehow they've been able to gain access to that algorithm and now manipulate your feed so it's putting words in your mouth, manipulating your time feed into saying things that you never said or never tweeted. How long do you think before that happens? Drop those comments below. Let me know what you think. Elon should really pay attention to this one.
So, yeah, I mean, that's crazy.
It is insane. And it just goes to show just how crazy things can get and what they're willing to do. You know, what they're willing to do. So,
and they're ramping up, you know, their campaign. You know, whether it be social media, whether it be all the geotagging, geofencing or whatever of the churches. Yeah. I mean, they're ramping up their pro-Israel propaganda campaign on the American people, big time.
I tell you what I was actually trying to find, I don't know how to look it up though. There was a sky lift, like a ski lift, but it was an enclosed ski lift in France years ago that crashed to the ground. It's been a while back now. Killed everybody on board with the exception of one little boy. But the little boy that survived, his family was Israeli. But the grandfather or great-grandfather actually on board was one of the chiefs of Mossad. I think the reason that I believe he was targeted, though, because when Trump, this happened right around, I think, 2017 is when it happened, because Trump did not get reelected. And I was asked by somebody from the White House, or from the government, I should say, not specifically the White House, though, but they wanted to know why did not Israel help him to get reelected? And they said, could you find that out? So I said, I'll ask. I don't know if it'll do any good, but I can ask. So I asked, and only to find out the chief, the former guy that was the head of Mossad, he wasn't the head of the Mossad at that time, but he was considered like the founder of Mossad. He said, we can get anything we want out of Biden, just like we got out of Trump. So we don't need the sorry you know what. Well, then the next thing I know, the man's dead. A friend of mine, his daughter is dead. His son-in-law is dead. His son-in-law was also Mossad. And they told me later they knew that it was rigged intentionally. So why was it rigged? I don't know. But that's just the way these agencies work. You get out of line, they will kill you, and they won't make any bones about it. So anyway, Colin, if you don't have anything else, I know I'm going to have to call it a night.
Yeah, I think we're good. We've covered pretty much everything we have to do. Like we showed you, the newest thing tonight was the van here, where we found the new double laser in the van.
That is at the very back end of the van too. It's the last windows in there. So just so you guys know that.
Yep. So that's even more evidence that supports our theory here.
And by the way, Colin, did you notice that if you look in the seat right in front of that, you can tell there's somebody hunched over the seat, or something looks hunched over the seat there.
Yes. I saw that. And I also, I don't know if it was just, I don't know what it was, but I thought I saw something that looked like a barrel too. I don't know if you noticed that.
I haven't had a really chance to dive into it deeply yet. I'm mainly just focused on trying to look at
it could just be the back of the seat, but it definitely looked like something straight, like it potentially could have been a barrel. I'm not saying for sure that is, because I don't know, but it's a possibility.
Yes. So,
but
thank you, Colin, for having me on again tonight and to share this with everybody. So I hope it blesses people that are listening, and you know, and I would say there, you know, some people they want to say all these things are conspiracy theories, but not everything's conspiracy theory. If you want to put Tyler Robinson in the mix, that's definitely a conspiracy theory, because the guy's not innocent. His whole family. I think Colin, you told me his grandmother came out recently and said he never did it. He doesn't even own a gun. Never shot
his grandmother. Exactly. His grandmother just came out today and said that Tyler doesn't like guns. He never went hunting. He doesn't own any guns. So that whole story about it's his grandpappy's Mauser rifle or whatever, that's a lie. He does not own any guns. And it's just a complete lie. She said there's no way. She also said that, you know, there's no way he could have made that shot. He's not that good. There's no way he could have made that shot. So, I mean, that, along with everything else, that just destroys the FBI's narrative.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So anyway, thank you, Colin. You have a blessed night. And thank you guys for listening as well. So hopefully you'll share it far and wide, and at least for people to talk about things. It's mainly just to get people to focus on there's other very real possibilities, and this whole idea that he was shot from the front of the neck is just totally absurd. Absolutely absurd. Every true sniper that has analyzed this know that that's just completely preposterous. You know, you don't have that little bit, you don't have such a huge hole gaping in the front of this man's neck, because he got, even if it's a 30-06, the gaping hole would be where it comes out, not where it goes in. And if you've seen enough people shot in real life, and unfortunately I have, then you know that's very true. The entry wound is always a small wound. It's the one that comes out that's humongous. Or some, depending on the bullet, depends on what you get shot with.
Entry wounds could sometimes be hard to even tell they're there, especially if they're in your hairline or something, you know? So for them trying to say that is there's no way that is the entry wound on the left side of his neck. There's no way.
No, not at all. So the first person I ever saw shot was shot right in the front of his head. And the bullet was very small that went in. The hole was. Now, of course, he was leaning down almost like he was praying. He fell to his knees, and the door frame caught him, and the blood was just pouring out of his head, just like what you see with Charlie's neck. Not quite as heavy, but it's still extremely heavy, you know, because of all the damage it did inside of his brain. But I don't even want to go into the things that I've had to see in life. It's just not very pleasant. So.
I don't blame you.
Thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Colin, as well.
Yeah, thank you for joining me tonight, Steve, and thank you all for joining and watching us. Make sure you share this out, please, because both Steve and I, anytime we talk about this, we get shadow banned big time. So the only way people see this is if you share it and send it out, force people to watch it. Tell people they've got to see this. Go in all the other gun channel, YouTube and everything. Go in there, tell them about this theory, tell them you want them to look at it, make noise about it, because people need to see this. People need to know.
Yes.
And with that being said, make sure you go follow Steve. He is Israeli News Live on YouTube, and at Steven Ben-Nun on X. So he's a great guy. I've known him since a couple months now, and him and I have been working pretty much hand in glove on this thing. So, you know, he's he has a lot of knowledge. You know, I'm putting in a lot of time, but he also has a lot of knowledge. So when I come up with something, he can look at it and say yay or nay. You know, this makes sense, this doesn't. And, you know, it's a really good team effort here.
Yeah, we debunk a lot of our own theories, you know, mainly because it's just trying to find out what's really true and what, you know, and see what's really going on. So I'm sure that's, you know, there's too many people that know that this is not what they're claiming it is. Regardless of what you think that really happened, it's just too obvious. It's not what people are saying. So anyway, thank you again,
Exactly.
Colin. You guys have a great night.
All right, you too. So thank you guys all for joining us, and this is our episode for tonight. See you guys later, and God bless.